Freud had many theories about many things. But basically, he applied it a lot to dreams, but he also applied his idea of this underlying current and motivations behind everything throughout even, consciousness. So his idea of dreams were that we have this idea of wish fulfillment.
So the same stuff.
Freud. Dr. Sigmund Freud. Okay. Freud had a lot of issues. And oh boy, if I can spend some time on Freud, we'll see. Freud had, he believed that we were basically trying in our dreams to go and basically have some sort of, underlying current. You have, secret desires, okay? So he says that there's two types of content in dreams. He says that there's a manifest content, okay? So this is going to be, literally what the dream is all about. And he says that it has some traces of a previous day. Somewhere in there's traces of whatever you did that day, okay? And then he also says that there's a latent content. And he says that there is this idea of there's a hidden meaning, okay? Now, Freud was all about sex, okay? So if you ask Freud what your dreams mean, he will tell you that there's something in there that relates back to sex, okay? He was also the guy that said he thoroughly admitted that he did not understand women. He called women the dark continent. He did not understand women at all. And he was also the one that said women have penis envy. Okay? That secretly all women really want to have a penis.
He knew us so well.
Yes. See?
Only if we could.
That would be the idea.
That's like not
Okay.
Only reason.
So,
even.
Freud has his beliefs. Now, just a little more about Freud. Okay, yes, he said that this is a way to express unacceptable feelings. So Freud had a lot of theories about a lot of different things, and he basically believed that part of the way that he has a gender theory with the idea of how you develop who you are as a male or female is related to your idea of you first grow up and you first go and covet your opposite sex parents, basically. And his idea was that as you grow older, okay, and you covet your opposite sex parents, so for example, if you're a girl, you covet your father, if you're a boy, you covet your mother, and he said that how we go and develop into a boy or a girl is because if you're a boy, you go and emulate your father in the hopes of gaining your mother's attention, and vice versa. Yes, it's totally messed up. Okay?
That just doesn't make sense. But he said girls were bad.
Yes,
But
he didn't say they're bad. He just said that he didn't understand them.
And that they were evil.
Not necessarily evil. He just doesn't understand it. And he will freely admitted that. Okay? So he says that your dreams that you have are these expressions of unacceptable feelings. So you having dreams, okay, if you're a boy about your mother or if you're a girl about your father is expressing these unacceptable, socially unacceptable feelings that you may have secretly about your parent. That's Freud. Okay? This is what Freud looked like in his later years. Okay? Freud also talked about he had stages of development. One of his, and they were all kind of. You'll love this. That there were stages. There was there's an oral stage. There's an anal stage. There's a genital stage. All of these things that people go through. And one of the things that he argued was that initially you get, and it's all about pleasure seeking. And initially you get pleasure from the mouth. And if you think about it, that kind of makes sense from a baby standpoint of, they get nourishment from the mouth. If you have a baby that's unconsolable, you stick a pacifier in their mouth, they're sucking on it, they, get pleasure from it, they calm down. Okay? The funny part is that he talked about people who have issues with, for example, those of you, now you're going to be thinking about this every time you do it. Those of you that go and take a pen or a pencil and you're comfortable doing this and putting it in your You're like sucking on it and chewing on it and everything else. You still have an oral fixation. That's what Freud said. The funny part is, guess what? That's not. I chose that picture for a reason. What is he holding? It's a cigar. Freud had an addiction to cigars. What does that say about Freud?
That's rare. You usually don't get that addicted to cigars.
Oh, he had total addiction to cigars.
Cigarettes.
He was cigars. He was all about the cigars, and to the point of he actually had mouth cancer, cancer of the mouth, and he actually had an operation where he had to have part of his jaw removed, and he had like this prosthesis. And you got to remember that this is like early 20th century, so this was, you know, fairly good technology for the time. Obviously, it's Sigmund Freud, so you got to help him. Okay, but that's eventually what he died of, was cancer of the mouth. And so it's kind of ironic almost that he talks about people's fixations and like those people that, you know, constantly, you know, people who, he talked about people who smoke or people who have to have, you know, like gum in their mouth and everything, that you are still stuck on this oral fixation. Okay?
Does he think that means something like sexually?
Uh-huh. Totally. Yep. Now, that's Freud. If I could spend more time on Freud, I would spend more time on Freud because he is very interesting by himself. He's a study in contradiction. But, okay, another idea of dream theories is this idea of information processing. Some people say that our dreams are just a way for our brain to basically help us sift and sort through and fix the day's experiences. Okay? So even though your dream may not be about specifically, it may not specifically deal with something that you had happen during the day, but the underlying idea is that you're basically trying to sort through and sift and, you know, fix anything that happened during the course of the day. All right. There's also this physiological function theory. This physiological function theory says that the brain stimulation during REM sleep, okay, helps neural pathways. And so it's this idea that during REM sleep, okay, during REM sleep, what happens is that these neurons are firing, right? And that the reason it's firing is because the brain needs, it's not like the brain completely ever shuts off. And it needs this stimulation to help connect to these neurons, basically, and be able to make all these different connections and to help continue these pathways. Okay, so they believe it's more a physiological reason, and that the dreams you have is just a result of all these random neurons firing. Okay, so it's just, you know, random neurons going off in your brain, and they're just trying to make some connections, and they're, you know, as a result, you know, side effect, oops, you have a dream. That's the physiological function theory. Okay, so we have three theories. We have Freud's wish fulfillment, information processing, and we have physiological functioning. Okay. Now, the only one that obviously has anybody attached to it is the wish fulfillment, but Freud was a very big proponent of it, and so he was the only one that was really connected to it. The other two are just a lot of groups of psychologists that believe this. Okay, so I saw this explanation of dream theory, so I wanted to kind of continue it. Is that Mary Shelley's dream? Okay, do you know who Mary Shelley is? She wrote Frankenstein. Yes. Okay. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. So you all know the basic premise of Frankenstein, that, you know, that in the story that the scientists basically created this guy, and they have different versions in movies and things. I took a picture. I got a picture on the internet of Frankenstein. Okay.
I have a question.
What?
My friend and they didn't know each other at all, and they both had the same dream about me, like that I was a vampire and I came out of the trash can or something. It's so weird.
Now,
And I didn't tell like the other one about the other one's dream at all, but it happened like in like a week's time. They both had the
yes,
same dream.
and so what happened is, depending upon your dream theory and depending upon who you are, different people would explain that dream in different ways. Okay? Freud would have a whole lot to say about that as far as what the latent content is, what's the underlying content, and what does that mean. Now, you have to understand that, yes, he related a lot of things to sex, but he doesn't necessarily say that everything is sex. A lot of it is pleasure seeking. So he may argue that in your case, in your friend's case, is that then they have this dream about you, and that he may say that they view you as, you know, somebody that they want to spend time with, or that they particularly have you in their dream, but also at the same point in time that, you know, that whole vampire side of thing and how they view vampires. And it used to be that vampires were a scary thing, but now in today's culture, I think vampires are kind of viewed more as was it a scary thing? So yeah, I was going to say it depends on how they view it, but yeah, then they may have some underlying things with viewing you not necessarily as a vampire, but some aspects that maybe were particularly scary about you for them. Yes. And it may not be necessarily you're like, okay, they're scared of me. No, there may be some characteristics that you have within you that they, you know, are not pleasurable to them, is what I'm saying. Okay? Whereas at the same point in time, information processing theory would say that your friend's dream would probably relate more to the fact that probably the night that they had the dream, they spent some time with you and they were trying to sort through and sift their brain, sorting through and sifting through their feelings about what they were doing with you that day. Okay? Physiological functioning would just say that is just a bunch of random stuff where they're trying to make some neural connections within their brain, and they're part of their brain that has memories about you just happened to fire. Totally. Yeah, that's the idea. Now, obviously, each have their problems with these theories because some of them sound like, okay, Freud's wish fulfillment, you can totally make a bunch of crap up as far as explanation as to why this is happening. Okay? Information processing, it doesn't explain dreams that, you know, you're like, it had nothing to do with my previous day's experience. Whereas the physiological functioning theory, like you said, is that, you know, what are the chances that two people are going to dream the same thing, okay? Was it the same night?
No, it was within the same week, but I didn't say anything the other one about the dream though.
Okay, so again, physiological functioning would, you know, your argument against that would be is like, okay, what are the chances that the both of them have the same random neurons firing and try and do basically the same thing to formulate the same dream? I mean, what happens there? Okay. So, what I was getting to was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein dream. Okay, so did you know that part of the story, and I did not know this until I was listening to somebody explain dream theories this way, that part of the part about Mary Shelley is that apparently she wrote Frankenstein after a dream. And apparently the background of the story is that Mary Shelley had recently lost a child, and she had this dream after she lost her child that, you know, the child died, and she had this dream about the child being alive again and being, you know, basically brought back to life. And after the dream, she was sitting in, you know, kind of like a, you know, almost like a coffee shop setting, a social setting, where she was talking about there was a group of them that were talking about different, you know, scary things, and she mentioned, you know, parts of her dream, and she kind of turned it into this story about Frankenstein, okay? And so it kind of stemmed from this beginning idea of this dream that she had. Now, Freud would say that her hidden meaning is what? What is it that she wants? Her child. She wants her child back, right? And that this is all about her child, and that, you know, she wants her child back. The information processing, however, would say what? It's helping her deal with it and coping and grieving, basically, right? And physiological functioning would say, what about her dream? Randomly fired, it's just different neurons connecting, and it's randomness that, you know, she happens to dream about her child, okay?